Testing, testing. Okay, we got sound, we got lights, got action. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Anuhazi, your brother. And as you can see, we got something different going on today. I want you to say hello to our guest. Please say hello, Leslie.
Hi everybody. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. We've had her on the show before. This time we're going to mix it up, talk about mind control and what that really means and how it affects people in the world and even off-world. I'll be getting into some of the SSP related points of this topic, which breaks comes from something like MK Ultra and CIA, and a lot of us are suspicious of those kind of groups. So, but we'll go into that tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Leslie. It's a great honor to have you. Could you please just share a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you got involved with Spacestoria?
Okay, hi everybody, and thank you for having me on.
Of course.
And so, pretty much, uh, I was going through a really tough time with depression and everything. Through there, I had made some mistakes, and through those mistakes, I started realizing I was sinking into myself a little too much, not seeing the true aspects of life. So, started making the jump into figuring myself out, and I took it really serious, dropped a lot of things to figure myself out, and just started my spiritual journey from there, reading, like learning as much as possible, uh, opening myself up to new ideas, new concepts, because I was really hard at first. You know, when you first start spirituality, it's not that easy to just be open-minded straight into everything. So it's really great to, see yourself evolve and start getting into new things. And so that's pretty much what happened. And then now I'm here, and it's changed my life a whole bunch. I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for taking all those steps of evolution to get to where I'm at. And there's still a long way to go, but we're here, so we're happy.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I agree with you. We can't like regret our past, how we used to behave, what we used to think and speak and because that, like you said, it got us to what we are now.
Mhm.
So we can that's a typical journey for most people going into, spiritual awakening and uh, we, we are transmuting our old paradigm and going into this transformation into a new person. And what we teach here is it's actually something you reclaim. You already have that, but it's just dormant, and we learn how to activate that. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we have talked a lot about acoustic stuff, but tonight we're just going into some of the stuff that I believe is related, stuff that's going on in space, stuff that's going in the secret government, what's going on in the secret military. Uh, People have heard rumors or conspiracy theories, conspiracy fact about CIA or any of these groups. There is a dark side. We're not saying all the government is bad or negative, but certainly there is some bad apples in the group that have an agenda, which at this channel, we see the bigger picture as going into extraterrestrials that aren't pleasant. And so I guess we'll open that up, Leslie, and just ask you, in your like a simple definition of what do you think is mind control?
I would say mind control is anything that's taking you out of yourself. So let's how can I, as in, let's say you're really into watching TV, you're really into music, you're really into those things. It's a beautiful thing to enjoy those things on earth, of course. But when you're really sinking yourself into television or music or social media and letting that determine your mood, your day, your life, oh, that's when literally mind control is subtly happening in masses. Obviously, we have deeper layers of mind control if you want to get into like the military aspect, the government aspect, the experiments that universities run and pharmacies. That's a whole different level of mind control. But there's even that subtle hint that is slowly, just not slowly, it is put out there everywhere, in our everyday entertainment, that everybody might feel like, well, this is my favorite celebrity and this and that. All of them have an agenda to keep us entertained. So it's all a form of mind control. Even the celebrities themselves are puppets themselves. but it's up to us to make that decision to not fully pay attention to things. You can be entertained, but it's still about the actual daily life, your actual present life. And a lot of people forget that because they're so wrapped into all of that. So I would say mind control for me is just pretty much anything that's just taking you out of body, that's not letting you be fully yourself because you're too busy taking in the perspectives and things of everybody else instead of thinking for yourself.
Right. And it seems like that most people are just too into their devices, just listening to music, just watching something constantly. There is no room for like present thinking or mindfulness, being in the moment. And so you wouldn't notice mind control tactics using against you. They're just kind of like lost and not lost per se, but just kind of like distracted and don't even think that stuff exists. They think it's ridiculous, right? So I want to ask you, what do you think is one of the biggest things that are kind of like mind control that might even been used historically?
Well, I would definitely say the school system, one, that's like a massive, teaching everybody the same exact thing so they're not thinking for themselves.
Hmm.
So that's definitely a number one thing mind control has been around. That's spiritual technology. So that's been around since the Greece, since the Egyptians, since, all of them. They just did it in a different way. They used it more for, connecting with the divine so they can have messages, visions been told, or like in Egypt, they use sleep temples. So a lot of the pharaohs and things like that would go to the certain pyramids that were considered sleep temples. So then they would be able to be put into a trance-like state to receive messages and things like that. So, this is a spiritual technology that's always been around, like how you mentioned earlier, like ESP, you were talking about that all kind of correlates, all is spiritual technology. And so it's definitely been around for forever. And now they just took it and multiplied it by like 1,000 because of all the technology we do have, even such as AI.
Yeah, one second here. Yeah, so and also it kind of goes because you mentioned the school and the programming starting as early as your school. Um, w- we've heard you even referenced to me before we started the live about the GATE program or some type of GATE program, right? And
Yes, Florida, it's called GATE program.
and
I'm
I
not.
want yeah, I want to say real quick that we've had a few other people like Indigo Wizard, one of our moderators, he's talked about that, or one of our other people in our group have talked about when they were a child, they were approached not by their teachers, but other type of adults. Uh, First of all, trying to test your skills, trying to test your thinking,
Mhm.
and like they're selecting certain kids, not all kids. And so what we talk about is, hey, that's indigo children. They don't want 3D consciousness. That they want a special type of hybrid consciousness. And so this is where the whole concept of my lab comes from. My lab, military abduction. They take these kids, or if they're not taking them, they're picking them out in the schools and stuff. And they have this program, some type of gate program, where they're trying to get you into the program so they can use you for their agendas. Could you talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that program?
Uh, so in Florida, the way they do it is everybody kind of gets shuffled in. Once you're like in, usually do it like first graders and second graders, they all get kind of shuffled into this. Hey, we're gonna do a testing, and it starts with the sound testing. So they play like sounds, and it's like a beep sound and whatnot, and you're supposed to raise your hand if you hear the sound. The point of that is there's certain people that they're able to hear infrasounds. Infrasound is a natural sound that the earth has. It's like a hum that not everybody hears. And so they believe some with that test specifically, they believe that, they're trying to find the kids that can hear that sound, one, because then they think, okay, if they can hear it, well, that's one step closer to, like, let's say a psychic ability almost. So because they're able to hear it versus like another student that's not able to hear it, then the testing will continue from there. So they do different testing like EEG machines. They'll do a lot of memory testing. They'll do so just like a bunch of different tests, and from there they'll continue to see your abilities. And if you, they'll continue to, it'll start with like a big pool of students, and it'll kind of trickle down into like the last few students that they feel like, okay, these kids have psychic abilities or some or those type of things, and then they continue research with those kids as long as possible. And that's what the GATE program is for. Usually kids will stay in a GATE program all through elementary school and continue on even into middle school and so on and so forth. And eventually those kids even land politic jobs without even realizing they were catered into these positions. They get into universities that they didn't even know they could get into, but because they were referenced, or and it was all just like a plot that they've had with those specific kids from the beginning without the child realizing they're being manipulated
You
into
could,
these certain roles.
I want to say, you could almost say like they're handlers for these
Yes,
kids.
yes, exactly. It's basically that, and which is a huge thing in mind control. Like
Mhm.
you're not mind controlling unless you don't have handlers, and handlers themselves were
Right.
mind controlled themselves too. So it's just like a never-ending cycle there. And handlers have handlers, and
Yeah,
everybody got
they're the previous students who grew up. Now they're teaching the new generation kids, bringing them into these programs, just like they were brought into these programs. Um, and it does get, get into psychic stuff, extrasensory perception that most humans can't relate to. They don't think it's real, but of course, we're an awakened community. There's people who experience it themselves. You can't deny it.
oh yeah.
And it's not just that. They're also finding ways to uh, boost their psychic kids, right? Make them even greater or stronger.
Yes, I did anything possible that they can do. I mean, first of all, they're even trying. It's weaponization at the end of the day as well. Anything that they can add to their military, so to say. So if somebody is psychic, has a psychic ability, and they can do remote viewing and things like that, that's very valuable for the government, of course. So there's tons of things that are valuable when it comes to those psychic abilities that many people have. Mind you, basically everybody has psychic abilities. It's just a matter of like how you spoke, how you mentioned earlier, it's dormant within, especially if you're not open to the idea of it, then why would it work for you? It's not that it has to be, like something's going to magically pop in front of you. That's not what a psychic ability is. Like it really is like a intuitive, spiritual connection that it really runs through all of us. A great experiment I had seen was I'm not sure if you heard of it. There was monkeys. There was a couple of islands that had different monkeys on each island, and so they were running experiments on these monkeys. That if they got these monkeys to learn, they wondered if the other monkeys, because of the coordinates on Earth, like the grid of Earth, if that would pretty much like signal to the other island monkeys that, hey, we can all learn, but through like psychic abilities. So pretty much what happened was is monkeys on one island actually started learning how to get food in different ways and do things in a different way. Somehow monkeys on the other island a few weeks later started doing the same exact thing the other monkeys were doing without knowing, because they were miles away from each other. They didn't swim from one island to one island. So it's that ability of one segment, one grid part awakened itself. So it like sends information out spiritually, like energetically, to what's closest around it. So kind of like what's happening with us as a humanity, as we continue to awaken, it's gridding off into others humans that are helping
Into the
them awaken.
collective, into the
Yes,
collective. And
exactly.
animals are psychic too. A lot of them.
Exactly.
Your
Yes.
house cat can see things you don't see.
Yep.
So of course these monkeys will start to go into their collective, what we call the race DNA template, because your morphogenetic field, your crystal body is within the greater human race crystal body, just like the monkey race DNA template is this within the greater template. But science can't figure that out, or they don't believe in spirit, or at least they don't claim to believe in those realms. But look, they're hiring psychic kids and experimenting with psychic things. They
Yes.
obviously know it exists. So
Yes. They're definitely realizing, because at first it's it's quantum, for them it's quantum, and they didn't really want to say it's almost magic in a sense. They need numbers and things to put, it's logic for science. So it's very hard. Science works. Science, it's not that it doesn't work, but it works to a certain extent. It's a metaphysical thing. You need the science, but you need the spiritual aspect as well. And together it can make magic. But they get
Well,
so blocked off, you know, they want numbers, they want to see it, they want, it's like, oh, if I see it, I'll
mhm,
believe it's not going to work in this situation. You can't see it to believe it.
right.
It's
Well,
spiritual,
well,
you
it's
know.
like you said, spiritual science. It. I mean, science hasn't found the soul, but they will eventually. I mean, because it's part of the spiritual sciences that they don't acknowledge yet. But there is this uh, quantum physics that kind of goes into some of that. That they know that the universe isn't solid, that it's everything is vibration, so nothing is physical. But the lots of other classic physics don't believe that, talk about that. So, but yeah, the this kids thing, that makes you really think about, okay, this has been going on for a while. Maybe some of our presidents, maybe some of our CEOs have been through these programs. If they're being handled as a little kid, who really was Obama, who really was these other people, that are influencing society, that have been geared towards a specific agenda, right?
Yeah, for sure. If a lot of people don't know, all the presidents are actually blood related except one. I forgot exactly which president it was that wasn't blood related, but all, and it's not Obama. Obama is blood related to all the other.
JFK
Um,
or
you'll have
someone
to look
else?
I forgot who it was. I literally looked at it the other day. I think it was.
But that's still
I don't
crazy.
want to call. I
Um,
don't want to say the name like, and it's the wrong
yeah.
name. But if you look it up, it's there. If you put all, all the presidents are related except one. That one president, he'll come out, and it's crazy. I mean, it's all an agenda. I mean, even when you look back at history, when the British and came over here to America first, when all Columbus and all that mess happened, all of that was in for the king and queen of Europe over there. Like all of it was for the king and queen of the British, of
Yeah.
Spain. They
Yeah.
were funding all of these trips for these conquistadors and all these guys to come over here. But
Mhm.
those people that came were all basically Masons. They were all basically
Yeah.
part of an cult. They were all part of some sort of secret society that had formed over there, whether it was a Knights Templar or whatever.
Well,
They sent these people out, and
even this talks about this, man. That
yeah, it is.
America, what is really America? We're not haters of America. We love America. We're just saying that it has some roots in Freemasonry. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
I mean, deeply rooted in Freemasonry, and I know there's a lot of people because I've met Masons, and right away they're like, "Hey, like we're not all evil." I'm not saying all Masons are evil. I
right.
understand there's
Right.
levels to it, just like there's levels to anything. Like there's levels to many things, and but there's a lot of levels to Freemasonry, and the deeper you go into it, the more you understand it is a lot of occultism, whether they want to see that for themselves or not, and that
Well,
occultism rooted America when it first started.
Well, what I say is they always sprinkle some truth within their distortion and lies and BS. So this is what tricks the human spirit and mind. We get fooled by the little bit of truth in there. And then
Yeah.
we might be confused because something doesn't resonate, but other stuff does. So you're like, maybe it's true. So-
I mean, even the fact that when you first go to, Freemasonry, they don't expect you to be, whether it's a Christian or a Catholic or a Hindu, or they don't care what you are. They're like, sign up, baby. Like, you sign right here, sign this, sign here, you're with us, and do X, Y, and Z. Like, why would I have to do certain initiations and steps for somebody, if I'm gonna do initiations and steps, it's for myself, for my spiritual growth in my life, things that actually matter in my present time. That okay, if I have a drug issue, then that is what my level up should be, then getting over the drug issue. If I'm trying to do better in my life and get a better job, then my level up would be, what can I do for those things? Like that's what you should initiate for, like kind of your self-development, not groups of for other people. And that's where it's kind of the first clue right there, where it's like
Yeah, well, they have all these control systems and they have to have hierarchy. There's 33 degrees
exact
Masons. you have to go through because it's all a control system and it's all the compartmentalization. You don't get to know the greater stuff until you go into greater degrees. And basically, the more that you sign your soul away, the more that you're higher up in these things. So
Exactly.
besides the gate program, Leslie, what else would you say is another big thing? Because we're still just talking about surface Earth's mind control. What else besides the gate program do you think?
Theme parks. I don't think a lot of people know that. I mean, a lot of people do know, it's all like out there now, but definitely theme parks. Disney is super rooted as well in mind control and occultism. Disney itself, first of all, Walt Disney was he belonged to the De Molay order, so that's a Freemason order, and he was in it when he was a child, and he actually grew up in that order with a lot of people.
He
Even
was handled. He was handled.
yes, he was handled. He had many handlers. So
And
he
notice how they work around children too.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was even known, if you, it just takes a few research, like a few clicks of the research, but he was even known to that the child that played Peter Pan. There's all kinds of crazy information out there between him and that child that to this day, like nobody's looked into it, and it's crazy. But so back to what we were saying for the mind control, Walt Disney actually implemented basically everything of his park mind control. I mean, most of the smells that people are smelling when they're walking around Disney isn't even real smells. Those are air smelling sensors that they have around. They have like all their rides and everything. I know people find them fun and stuff, but really, if you think about it, it's for kids, for babies and little children that don't understand. That's
Do you have
people
some
don't understand.
examples?
Let's say like
Certain.
It's a Small World, for instance.
Yeah.
It's actually said that It's a Small World is used for trauma-based slaves when they're kids. So a lot of kids always say through the gate programs and other ways they end up at Disney. What at night they come through the tunnels and all these things, and so these kids
Yeah.
are to go around Disney during the night, but they're actually drugging allegedly, there's research, you can
Right,
do the
right.
research there though. But they have been drugging these children and take them into these rides, and those rides are very overstimulating. So like It's a Small World, when you're sober and fine and sitting through it, it's a cute little ride, but can you imagine being on like a child on LSD going through a trauma-based mind control, and you're really tripping, and they're putting you on these rides that seem, I know it sounds like crazy,
Oh,
but
they do
it's
use drugs on these
Oh yeah,
programs.
the LSD was like the number one thing that they used on children. They would pump these kids with LSD for days, like not feeding them right, and their parents. Most of these
Well,
parents, they're part of it.
it's in
They're
the it's in the slavery, the industry, sex industry. P. Diddy came out. It's all about underground tunnels. It's all about what they're doing in these weird ass things with drugs and manipulating people, controlling people, fear based, and they're doing it to kids in Disneyland. What's up? I mean, you
yeah.
said there's tunnels under there in Disneyland.
There's definitely I know somebody that his sister, when she works for Disney, she was a child star for Disney. I'm not going to put his information because I don't know if they'd want that information there,
Yeah, that's
but
okay.
um she was a child star for Disney, and they had took her down there, and she does not talk about what happened to this day, but she left Disney after that. She never worked for Disney again. She wanted nothing to do with it. She never said what happened in the tunnel. So I mean, there's a ton of stories about the tunnels too, but the whole thing is like a city down there. And even in um, London, which is like obviously known for like one of the hugest Masonic
Hmm.
night bars. That's where it like
Yeah.
mainly started. London, if you just walk around certain provinces and stuff, you're gonna see that a bunch of those residencies have the number 33 on them. A bunch of them are Masons that live there freely and everything. And even there, they have underground cities and tunnels under all these residences that help connect each other. There's even a guy put a video about a few, like I would say like 5 months ago. He walked around London and just pointed out all the Masonic housing, all the Masonic
It's out in the open.
yeah, it's there, and it just takes a couple of like, the more you research, the more you realize like, okay, we're not crazy. Like this is literally, think about it. If you really wanted to, you were the first one to kind of catch on that, hey, I'm the richest right now, and I can do what I want, and I can these people don't really know much, and you have a religion, let's say, in mind, or occultism in mind, and you want to implement that, it wouldn't be that hard back then to start putting a couple of people together, start
Yeah.
paying them off, teaching
Yeah.
them what you know, and spreading them out there to continue what what that person had come across. And it's not that that person came like the Rothschilds came across something new. It's ancient
Yeah.
stuff that Egyptians were already using, Babylon, like
Mhm.
all these places were already using this stuff. So
Atlantis.
yes, it's really nothing new under the sun. They just got bigger with it because of the
And
technology.
better.
Oh yeah, and way better. And now they made people really double think themselves, because then they make movies about it, and they're like, well, if it was real, they wouldn't be putting it out in the open. Yeah, they would, because that's how manipulated everybody is.
Well,
Of course they would.
the programming, the mind control goes into movies, it goes into video games, it goes into comic books. So you think it's just make believe, it's entertainment, it's not real. But this is how these Freemasons, this is how Luciferians think. They have to tell you what they're doing. And and
Exactly.
and so we talked about children and handling. Well, they create Disney parks and they put these kids in like Nickelodeon. You see these little kids, they're the ones who became the celebrities and are singers for and they're dressing up like Lucifer or Satan, like Rihanna or Beyonce. They started in these programs. Britney Spears started in these programs, and then they're being handled throughout their career. She shaved her head, or they go and do some weird stuff because they're cracking, man.
Yes, exactly. It is. That is exactly what's happening. It's all fun and games until it starts catching up to them, and everybody thinks, oh, they're rich, and they're not. These people are slaves. They're stuck in a system. They're stuck in, which is horrible. It's sad. I mean, it's basically selling yourself, selling your soul to. It's I don't like to say it's selling your soul, because I always say, like, your soul, you can always reclaim that.
Yeah, you
Like,
can reclaim that.
yes, you can always, like, I had somebody ask me the other day, like, oh, like, they used to do a lot of black magic and stuff, and that's fine, baby. Like, you went through what you went through, and if you healed, you forgave, you moved on, you fixed what you needed to fix, and that's not something you're practicing anymore. And or let's say you're practicing that, but you don't hurt. I don't know. Everybody's different. I'm like, what floats your boat, but in the sense, like, you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting others, and whatever it is that you do is actually moving your life forward. Like, that you're actually doing good for yourself, doing
Well,
good for the community,
a lot.
connecting.
I want to say a lot of people in a spiritual awakening, they come from the occult. A lot of us were into the occult. We were into Golden Dawn magic systems. I can say that for myself. We didn't know
Well, I
better.
remember you mentioned to me before that was you were into that.
Yeah, I have I got a ton of books on magic, and I didn't know better. And I was just, because I had paranormal experiences, nothing explained it. My Christian family couldn't explain it. Religion doesn't explain it. So indigos like us have to go find some information, but we find out later that was something that just kind of took us off target. But yeah, like your friend or whoever was a black magician, it's possible for you to transmute your life and go the other
Yes.
direction.
Yes, I
So
agree 1,000%. I don't think that's ever like you have to wait for the next lifetime. Like, you can
no,
fix that right now. You can
yeah,
choose any moment right now. Like, I'm gonna change my life, and I'm gonna do it by my actions every single moment that I can. And that's how I, like, when I went through when I was in my depression and coming out of my depression, it
mm,
wasn't just like I woke up and I was like, yeah, like, I'm just gonna, let's do this. Like, no, it was work. It was, I woke up and I still felt sad, but it was like, no, I'm gonna move my mindset, I'm gonna get things done, I'm gonna do this, I started creating a list for myself,
mm.
goals for myself. From there, you keep doing them so consistently, you're mind controlling yourself, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
no one else is going to do it for you. You can't.
yeah, nobody else, exactly, nobody else. And it just literally became that habits that had to get formed, because I
Yeah.
made them happen through my actions. And it was hard at first, like, and I loved to hang out, I loved to do all kinds of stuff, but it wasn't serving me, so I had to let it go. And that was actually what was holding me back. And now where I'm at is, like I said, like, I would have never, my old self would have never imagined me where I'm at now. New self, me now, of course, I for all of
Yeah.
us, like, long as you're on your path, then
Hmm.
you know for a fact you're going to get there. You're going to keep growing as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's just
Well,
magic and it.
all beings have the divine gift of free will, and so you can use that free will to change and transmute, heal yourself, heal anyone you might have hurt in your path. And then just, religion has a different idea. You can be sent to hell and then you have no way to get back, but that's BS. That's not what the Guardians say. That's not what the ascension is about. I mean, that's not, free will means you can change and you can heal and you can start working for within the sacred universal principles like the law of one. So, but yeah, besides some of the things we talked about, what else? Isn't there like even technologies like machinery that they use, even frequency pulses that they use in mind
I have
control?
I had read well, I had seen like a some people find a connection with them, but with CERN and the mind control happening now, they say pretty much like CERN is that massive machine that's running out over there at I believe it's in Europe. I believe it's in Europe. I think it's Germany to be exact. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. But the CERN machine, a lot of people say that scientists have come out and said that that machine, because that machine is going like a crazy amount, like all day running on light speed, because they're trying to create the Big Bang in that machine. They're trying to create the Big Bang to like try to create their own like spark of beginning of life. So that's pulling a lot of energy. And a lot of scientists were saying that that is messing with Earth's frequencies, and that also like through that use of CERN and understanding the machine of CERN, that's certain technology that they're trying to learn and use to weaponize to see if they can apply it to humanity, or if the CERN machine, if they can put it at a certain frequency, if it does stuff to humanity, to our mindsets, to us, to our consciousness, to the collective. I mean, it's pretty crazy that they're even working with that. God knows what could happen with that going wrong. It already sounds crazy as is that they're
Yeah.
trying to make a big bang, but that machine's been there since like the 19 I don't remember the exact date, but I know it's like the 1900s and it's been there for a while. So it's crazy that can you imagine if they started that all the way back then, what it is like now? They even show that machine in the movie Spider-Man with
Yeah.
Miles.
But I
Yeah, and
told you they put it out in movies.
yeah,
That's a soft disclosure.
and
Um,
it's crazy that what's happening is dimensions are starting to mix because of their machine, and that's pretty much what is happening with that machine when they're messing with this Big Bang machine. So
well,
it's just
they also open up portals to these demonic beings and negative alien beings from, the Phantom System. They're in cahoots with them. That they work with them. The governments have made agreements with these ETs. Um,
mhm.
so, they're known to create portals for them too. So,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
and it's the same with HARP, CERN, collider.
Yes, and yep.
I
Harp is
mean,
the one with the weathering machine that they use to change the weather.
yeah, man. And then we got the quantum computing. It's some scary, dark science fiction that's happening. People either don't believe or just completely clueless about. But it affects all of us. It affects our whole planet. So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And even going back to like the whole Disney thing, a lot of people don't know too. Universal Studios, who was owned by Carl, I forgot his last name, but Carl, he was actually a Freemason as well. So it's like, dude, like everything is like some form of occultism with some type of tie to it. Which I mean, can you imagine the people working behind CERN that even thought of the idea? I'm pretty sure it's a bunch of occultists as well. It's just really just occultism spread everywhere.
yeah, it's like you see their type of technologies that they're creating. They're weaponizing, what was good energies into negative either killing machines, controlling machines, manipulation machines. I mean, it's just something that's just kind of scary when it comes to, it affects our kids when they're just very small the cartoons they watch, the movies they watch. There's program. It's not just Disneyland, but it's the movies that Disney makes that are
Yeah,
also mind control. starting from kids. We want to get you as early as possible. Besides the scholastic system, it's what you're watching, right?
The what? Which one?
I mean, the movies in general, the Disney
Oh
movies, those are all
yeah,
some form of mind control.
all of or yeah, a majority of them. I mean, if they're in the system and are there, you're looking at a movie that says it's made by Universal Studios or Disney, Paramount, all these big companies. I mean, most of these companies, even if you look at their logos, it's an occult, like they have occult ties with their logos and everything. Jordan Peele, he makes movies all the time, mainly for like Universal. He made the movie Get Out, and he made the movie Him, which is all symbolism. All Jordan Peele's movies are symbolism right in your face of like how Hollywood does it, how those generational families, the way they keep all that going. Or even if going as far, going back to technology, NASA was actually used to, NASA was based off occultism as well. And Parsons was a major face for NASA. He was one making rocket ships, but he was doing sex and occultism and sex magic on like in the building of NASA, and they were creating corn tapes and stuff in NASA using children and everything. And that's information that's out there too. Kathy O'Brien, she speaks of that, her experience as a child with NASA. She was sent out to NASA when she was, I believe she said she was like 9 years old. And out there, they had them performing, creating tapes at NASA and for, occult purposes, because they felt like that brought energy to NASA and to like their ships and helped with all of that. But Jack Parsons was a huge one to all of that. And he was really into Lester Crowley's work, which everybody knows who Lester Crowley is at this point. His name and face has been everywhere. And he's just like the tip of the iceberg to occultism,
Yeah.
but
All
he's like,
these things that these people in power are into, it's all dark, twisted stuff. And even they collaborated with the Nazi scientists. They brought Nazi scientists after the war, and they were part of that same NASA bullshit BS, So I mean, it's just uh some of even their logo, right? There's something to the NASA logo even.
yeah, it's a serpent. It represents like the serpent tongue. It has Saturn on it, and Saturn is like a whole nother occultic. If you
Mhm.
look into that, that's a whole nother theme for
Yeah.
occultism. And who was the other? Oh, the back going back to like even Aleister Crowley. So Aleister Crowley, like the whole idea of mind control, where the Monarch program came from. So Monarch program is the program where there were about 2 million Americans that suffered trauma-based mind control because of the Monarch program. And that program was the one that they would get these kids from a young age, put them through a bunch of testing, see where they land best, and then release them out into like whether they were an artist or a politician or anything like that. And Aleister Crowley, they actually got the idea from the name of the Monarch program from Aleister Crowley from his book Moonchild. He speaks of a temple, and that temple is where you trap a moonchild, and that you trap them in a butterfly net, and then that's that's the idea of like taking this child's soul for like the deepest power of magic, for like to have the most, like a deal with the devil, so to say. So like you're
Yeah.
sacrificing this child to the butterfly net, which is this temple, and all of these concepts and Monarch program, all this stuff, like it just takes again a few couple researches. It's all
Mhm.
ties together. Like the CIA came up with those ideas because Aleister Crowley was already doing his ideas. And a lot of people say, oh, I love Aleister Crowley. I don't think a lot of these people, no, not I don't think, literally a lot of these people have not read this man's books, because I have read several of his books, and they are not anything to be sharing, to be telling people that he's like some genius. Like, no, he was sick, and he was doing a lot of sick rituals. It's blatantly in a lot of his books talking about harming children. He's specific. I mean, that's why I'm like, where's people's? You guys don't even know what you're talking about when
Yeah.
you're just spitting out. Oh no, he was the best black magic. Like, well, you don't even know what you're talking about when you're saying that. Like, this guy was a sicko, and like just open a couple of his books and you would
Yeah.
see.
Do
It's
a little
crazy.
bit of homework, right?
Yeah, a little bit of homework, exactly.
But also, like you mentioned, the Monarch, it's coming out of the MK Ultra stuff, but
Yeah,
they use like trauma, type of conditioning.
yeah,
And so it's like these kids who get it's or whoever, adults, whoever get into these programs, you're going to go through misery and hell and torture and nightmarish stuff because what they're doing is it's methods for like splitting the psyche
yep,
using extreme trauma. And you hear some of these whistleblowers come out and talk about the stuff that they went through. I mean,
yep.
and this isn't angelic stuff. This isn't guardian positive stuff, man. This is dark, twisted things, right, Leslie?
Yes, yes. There, Paul Bonacci, he came out a few years back. There's a tape on him. He got his psyche split 160 different personalities, and he explained exactly how they break it down. It takes a while to understand, but once you start researching this stuff and learning more about DID, you start understanding exactly how the psyche is being split and why it's being split, how movies are being used on these children when they're on LSD, even like how Alice in Wonderland ties into this, Peter Pan ties into this. Peter Pan shows up a lot lately too, even with that new Alien movie, the Alien series that came out. The whole thing is based on mind control, MK Ultra, Monarch programming right in our faces. It's even using the references of Peter Pan. The main character's name is Wendy, and
Dude,
all the kids are the lost kids
yeah.
that they had their bodies transferred into this AI. I mean, it's really all there right in our faces. But yes, going back to Paul Bonacci, he used to work for the military. They split him 160 different ways. He had his own handlers within himself as well, because when you're breaking down the psyche, your brain is always going to fight for the spiritual. Your brain's always going to fight for God. Let's say so. They can split you, have you do things immoral that you don't feel is right, and your psyche is really hard for it to grab onto that. That's where the split starts, but your brain's always going to want to try to bring the split back together. All the fragments, it's going to want to bring it back. So what ended up happening is they would split him, whether it was like to do X, Y, and Z missions or whatever. And at that point, his soul, his body is trying to bring him back to be full again. And every time they realize, okay, wait, he's being pulled back, they would create a middleman between his split, which is his own handler in his own brain, that would be like, no, this has to stay back. So that way, then that handler sometimes needs its own handler because eventually this handler wants to come back too. Like your brain's always going to fight for your survival. It's always going to. So that's why a lot of these victims end up with so many personalities. Not always is it 160. That's one of the more severe cases. But
Yeah.
a lot of these children, a lot of these adults, they end up with many personalities, whether it's they're called like beta is like when you're a sex slave in the system. They have breeders, they have alpha. The alphas are the ones that work in the military, that their Monarch program trained for secret service missions and things like that. It goes really, really deep.
Yeah, man, it's just dark twisted stuff. They basically take, well, they call them alters, right? Like alternate identities, alternate personalities. But each one can be like programmed to have specific behaviors. Like you were
Yeah.
saying, Leslie, someone will do courier work. Maybe another one of your alters will do like intelligence gathering or even entertainment, sicko entertainment, or any type of roles that are influential. And so this is stuff that's been going on like you said for a long time, but they're just getting more and more like uh good better at it. So
They're taking it real serious now, and I mean they're realizing like humanity's awakening really fast,
mm,
so it's like overdrive for them, and it's I feel like it's hard for them to keep it all together when you have so many people speaking out about it, and now you have so many people researching and looking into it and being more aware of it. You have people more in the community that's more attentive. Not everybody, but it's bigger now because more people are actually
well,
awakening to like things are different. It's not really what it seems.
also while they do all this control, they learned how to wipe memories, but some people, because of their soul levels, they can still access. And so some of these people are waking up. They are remembering. They're talking about the secret space program. They're talking about 20 years and back, time travel. They're talking about, hey, humans have already gone outside our solar system. Not just one person or source, many different people are talking about this. To a lot of
Yeah,
people, it's science fiction, but this is a real reality that's happening.
yeah, and even if like you think, I'm pretty sure you've heard of. Everybody was talking about like mall world and things like that. I'm not sure if you heard of that. Everybody's
Of
in this
what?
dream state of mall world, mall world.
Mall world? Okay.
So pretty much what's everybody's talking about is a lot of people have dreams where they're either maybe at the beach or maybe they're in a movie theater, maybe they're in the mall, maybe they're in a hotel and they can't get out. It always seems like they're on a mission, they're always on a run, and a lot of what's believed is because a lot of people kind of have the same type of dreams. So it seems to be like it's a collective experience that's happening. Maybe a lot of people that are kind of stuck in that mind control hypnosis state when you're going to bed, we're stuck in this dream collective state where it's hard for us to get out of, and we're all stuck in like this subconscious small world, let's say. And I'm not sure if you ever heard of that, but it's interesting concept. Definitely look into it.
Yeah. Okay, one second here.
Just
Yeah,
like
this is some type of stuff that's being shown in movies. I've seen few movies like that where you're, like you said, you're always on a mission. You're always got to solve a problem. You're always in fear of your life. If someone dies next to you. I mean, it's insane. It's not. They're actually self-disclosing of what's really happening, but they're also giving you this nightmarish energy while you're watching it. You know, why people watch horror, I have no idea, but it's a form of conditioning and control itself. So
and horror movies can definitely be a big like. I like watching horror movies, but I'm very conscious of when I watch
well, you're
horror movies.
Christic. You're Christic. So you have a
So
different point of view.
yeah, I could watch, and I'm not like before I used to be like horror, like as in like okay, I'm gonna watch like The Exorcist or something like that. But now it's like I don't find that the type of horror I like more psychological horror. So I'm very into like that aspect where it's like you have to put the puzzle pieces together, and then I like the thriller of it. So that's why it's like the horror aspect. But is that movies can definitely make a huge difference in, especially horror movies. People that really sink themselves into that fan base. That's a dangerous. That's a level of mind control. Same way like
Yeah.
football fans. Like football fans, and I mean, not that if you're like football, I'm talking about like the heavy football fans that they're
Mm.
like, you can't even bring up a player without them like, no, like this is my
Yeah.
favorite player. Like that guy's like, just relax, buddy. Like,
It's a form of it's an addiction if you think about it. It's some type of addiction. Or people are that way polarized in the politics. That one person hates the other because they're Republican, or the Republican hates the Democrat. I mean, a lot of this mind control technologies are about inciting things. They're about influencing your emotion, influencing your thoughts. They're forming the collective mind towards their agendas, right?
yeah, exactly. And even going back to the politics, like some people take that really serious. If
Yeah.
it just again takes a couple of research, and you will see the same people sponsor both sides. It does not matter what side wins. I literally was showing in a video of mine my video like 2 months ago or something like that. It just takes a few research clicks. There's lists of the same exact companies giving money to both sides. It doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Well,
Both sides are getting.
they do that in wars too.
Yeah.
They'll fund both sides.
Oh, just like I had talked about that in a video before, where the Rothschilds. People don't know the Rothschild had 5 sons. His 5 sons were the ones that he put in war against each other. The money came right back to all themselves because they were funding the money to each other, and they thought, oh, it's Europe fighting against this one or this one fighting. It was the
It was
brothers that.
profitable to them.
Yes, exactly. And then that's when they started forming their banking, and
Yeah.
everybody thought, oh, they're fighting for us. No, they're not. They're creating havoc, bro. Like they're using us, and it's crazy. And the military system, there's so much mind control that even happens in the military system.
Well, yeah, if that's one of the key triggers, I just want to say, you guys, Leslie has to leave in 10 minutes, but we're just going to finish this out. The military, that's one of the flags, right? If you have a military family background, you're more than likely a candidate for some of these programs.
Oh yes, yes. It's yeah, exactly. You said it's generational. Whether it's
Mhm.
like even Masons, a lot of it's generational. It's very rare now for Masons to just kind of allow people in now because it's such a thing. I mean, they do let people in. Don't get me wrong. If you're invited, you're invited, but it's not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah.
And the way they really appreciate it is when it's brought down. When it's like, oh, my great great grandpa and his great grandpa and his grandpa, and and then the mothers are usually belong to the Eastern Star, because women can't be Masons, so they put them in the Eastern Star program and things
Yeah.
like that, which is like the woman version for it. And they teach their daughters that then, and they and like going back even to the mind control, the children, what they do with them a lot of time too with these programs is like they'll turn them into breeders, and they'll either use it's crazy, but they use them like we mentioned earlier, like they'll put them in career positions, all these things. But a massive thing that people don't discuss is the fact that they do make a lot of these kids breeders, and then they're using those babies, either one, they use them to grow up, like literally have a baby from scratch, like a perfect blank slate, to do
Yeah.
the exact monarch programming they want and
Yeah.
ultra programming they want with those babies. Or they also use those babies, if it's not the baby they wanted, the gender they wanted, or whatever they need, then they use those for their rituals. And that's stuff that people really just like let that. It's crazy. I mean, Epstein, with he had, when you look into these, the way these people were hoarding their eggs, like they're saving their sperm, using women as donors. Epstein was known to have a farm with a bunch of, not like a little farm, but like a farm with people, women on it as breeders.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all. This is all, you can find all of it. And but again, what are they doing with all these babies?
Mhm.
It's babies that they're setting for the program, because it's not
Yeah.
working no more in the sense where it's them bringing people in isn't working that well no more. A lot of people are breaking out of the programming, so they need to like literally start with super clean slates and then progress it from there.
Yeah, a lot of the, you notice it's all involved with kids. It's all involved with secrecy and high-powered, rich, wealthy people, people in power. It's you wonder what, how can people possibly not think there's something wrong with the government or something wrong with the powerful elite people? It's beyond me because um, in the last few minutes that we got left there, could you mention some other technologies that you consider important to be aware about regarding mind control? Or actually, maybe we should talk about some of the things that we can defend ourselves with.
Yeah,
Or
that
you,
sounds great. That sounds great. I would say definitely being aware and present. Like the more one, that's like the number one thing we can do. Like that's all we have. First of all, when you have nothing, if you don't have your house, you don't have your clothes, you don't have shoes, you don't have family, you don't have, what you have is you, yourself, your consciousness, and that awareness. And with that, you can do everything. Because if you are aware, then you will make the space to make the right choices. When you're unaware, you do things more impulsively, which will lead you to be more laid back, not really care about what you're trying to do for yourself, which not exactly what you're not trying to do for yourself, but it can make you laid back more on your spiritual self, and it won't allow you then to realize what's being used against you, such as the technology and the way they're trying to make you change your mind, the way they're trying to make your emotions move, your beliefs change. It really is important to be aware and present so you don't sink into that and you realize, wait, this is making me emotional. Is this important to make me emotional? Let me move my awareness. Let me move myself from here and do something else. So it's number one for me is it's always important to be aware and conscious and
Mhm.
present so you can make any decisions, and it just makes life clear.
Oh, being more self-independent thinking, be more self-sovereign.
Yes.
Think for yourself and be mindful of not trying to just be a follower and a trend follower or just getting on a bandwagon or I mean we warn about a lot of things happening in mainstream. We want to be able to go into meditation. We want to go inside. I mean that's where the true connection is, right? So if you're not doing that, if you're too busy looking out here in the matrix for truth or for salvation or for ret being saved or something, uh, you're going to miss the mark. You're going to be stuck and entangled in someone else guiding you instead of you guiding yourself.
Yes. Yes, I agree. You won't live the life that you're seeking because you're too busy seeking it through others. So it's very important to know what's going to make you happy and take those steps towards that and do everything you got to do to get to where you got to go, because like I always say, you're the only one that can save yourself. It's not nobody's job to take you out of a depression. It's not nobody's job to
Yeah.
take your computer, open it and research for you or do what it is you need. It's not nobody's job to dress you. It's your job. And the more you realize like you can do it and you do it, you're going to realize how many other things you can do and will do, and it will change your life because you're depending on yourself, on your thinking, and knowing that you have a solution. Just slow down. Sometimes it's the simplest thing. Sometimes people overthink it. It's just start simple. Life doesn't have to be complicated. One thing, one moment at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah, it's almost like just being more mindful, being more aware, that does require introspection. It does require just being in tune with your own energies and thoughts, and just be very mindful of the programming that is in movies. Be mindful of
Yes.
the programming that's in our schools, in the things that we talked about tonight. And honestly, Leslie, we've only just barely touched a small fraction of what's really out there in mind control, right?
Oh yeah, it's a deep. It goes very deep, and I encourage everybody to learn about it and research and look into it. And the more you learn about what's being used against us, the easier it is to see it, the easier it is to avoid it, the simpler and happier your life will be because you're not getting dragged around. Your emotions and thoughts aren't getting dragged around because of others. You stand strong in yourself. And that's really what's important here on Earth. That's what's going to change Earth. Not all of us following each other, but all of us connecting and growing and learning and then bringing all that together because we all have different perspectives. And that's the most beautiful aspect of all of us. And we're going to ruin that if we're all just thinking the same way. God doesn't need that. God is very diverse. And that's why we're all here. With all the different perspectives is what God wants. That's what makes us. That's what makes all of this.
Yeah, unified whole. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, could you tell us where people can find you? You're on YouTube, right? But you're also on, or is that where you want most people to go, or is there also your,
I usually
Instagram?
use yeah, I usually use YouTube. Some people come to my Instagram. I don't post too much on there, but my focus is mainly YouTube. I like to do research
Hmm.
and reading and then putting it in simplified videos for people, all the little things that I've read and researched, and just to trigger them, to get them to look into it too. That no, I don't expect anybody to believe what I
Hmm.
believe. I don't expect anybody to follow what I follow. I just love to share information and get
Right.
people's mind thinking. And that's always exciting because I love when I come across something and I'm like, oh my God, I got to look into this. This is awesome. And that's what I like for people to get sparked by, that creativity within us to continue to learn.
Well, that's what conversations like this is about. It's to spark interest, to get awareness out there. And there's nothing stopping you guys from doing your own research on these topics that really something is curious about. So, um, would you say that it seems like your channel has grown since I last interviewed you, and it seems like you're exploring more topics. I think that's wonderful. Um, what is your inspiration? Or I guess you're just motivated by finding more truth and sharing it, right?
Yeah, literally. I'll come across stuff and it'll turn into a whole cycle of like digging myself in there and like, what is this about? I gotta learn it. And I
Yeah,
like to simplify stuff. I think it's the homeschool mom
yeah,
in me where I'm
yeah.
like, I always have to find ways to simplify things
Mhm.
for my child. So when I read them and get into stuff that's more confusing or really complex, I love to like get through it all and then
Yeah.
simplify. It's just awesome.
Oh, you also have a website, right?
Yes, I do. I do. It's www.spacestoria.com.
Yeah, so people can email you or just reach you on YouTube, and also the same name on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Spacestoria. Okay.
everything Spacestoria. The email Spacestoria at Gmail, website
Yeah.
spacestoria.com, and YouTube Spacestoria.
I had to do the same thing. I didn't realize that all of my channels had different names. I had to think of a word that was available on all platforms, Christos Avatar TV. So that's great. That's the best way to do it, right? So people
Yeah,
can
it
find
is.
you.
Yeah, especially like for all the linkings to connect, it's the best for
Yeah.
Google. SEO,
Yeah.
everything. It works great. I connected all of it. It just works great.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to have you. I'm so grateful that you shared on the show. I would love to have you on again in the future, Leslie. Um,
Yes. Yeah, I would love to be on and
yeah.
I'll come and yap again and tell
Yeah.
you all the new little things I learned.
More disclosure to share.
Yes, yes, yes. It sounds amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful you reached out. It's always a blessing to see you and speak with you. And I love having these conversations. And I appreciate everybody that took their time to watch us and hear us out and learn right along with us.
Yeah, thank you all those who did come. Thank you to the moderators who helped out tonight. And anyone made donations, thank you so much. This is how I keep on rolling 24/7. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys on Saturday. And please check out Leslie's page. Check out our website. We'll have her on again. If you're interested, watch our previous show that we did together last year. So thank you
Yes,
so
yes.
much, Leslie. Bless you,
Thank you
sister. Much
and bless
respect.
you. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your
Bye,
night.
guys.
Bye.
Yeah.